Going into our Money Matters feature, that's where we speak all things money, but it's personal finances that we have a particular interest in. But today we're speaking about co-parenting. Parenting itself, we know that is really a big part of your finances because once you have children, your money will go to them.
Yeah,
your money.
Yeah, it's not yours anymore.
It's not yours anymore because children are financially demanding, and so the hard thing is that many people can't actually hold those financial demands of having children on their own, which I guess basically you shouldn't have to if you have a co-parent or someone that you are having this particular child with.
And then you get those people who just like are indifferent, like they just disappear. They know they've got children everywhere, but I'll contribute later. Someone was speaking about it in a situation of the boys. There are those guys, they'll just disappear for years and years and years and years and come back when you're getting 21
married
or 22.
And they're like, the lobola must come to me. This is my daughter. Like, since when?
Exactly. That's what we were saying.
Or during the graduation. I want to take pictures next to the graduate.
But you haven't contributed to the education itself, eh? Yeah, it happens all the time.
It does happen all the time, and it is quite unfortunate in that instance because parents should all hold the responsibility of being with a child. But if the parents are no longer together, there needs to be a form of communication that takes place on how the raising of this child is actually going to look. But unfortunately, we find that it happens so commonly that one of those parents are financially unreliable, and that does not mean financially unstable, just unreliable in their particular contribution to raising that particular child. But at the end of the day, the parent who is financially reliable has to still raise this child. I mean, the child can't just be saying, okay, this one is unreliable. I'm going to be unreliable too. This kid is on their own. No, somebody must raise the child, but it has to bring in a lot of now financial thoughts and financial integration and finding out how you can stretch your particular currency to make sure that all or most of the needs of this child are met.
You must stretch a currency that's the same every month.
You must stretch. You know what I mean? You must stretch. So
crazy.
We're chatting to Eunice Sibiya, who's an independent financial educator, helping us figure out this co-parenting landscape and what to do as the parent who is, I guess, the main financial contributor in the child's life.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I was just speaking to a friend the other day, and they were like, their partner contributes when they want to. They contributes the fixed amount, and then in the next month it's like, I still have this cost, right, that you contributing to, and we agreed that this is transport money for the kid, so come on, let's make it consistent. But the fact that the cost is consistent for you as the caregiver, as the parent who's there, doesn't mean that when the other partner is outside the caregiving environment, that cost is not going to be there because they can't contribute. It's crazy.
Or they won't contribute, in other words. Well, stay with us for that one. It's 10 minutes past 11 Central Africa time. We'll give you another minute to go into that conversation and we'll unpack that. It's right here on The Move. Stay with us for our Money Matters feature coming up.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo kutuli bwanji ndi
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Get set and be ready to go. On the Move with Fali Satawu and Benjamin Mushatama.
You know, there's a reason why a lot of people who are starting to parent consciously or even make the decision to have children consciously, why they make one of the key decision-making factors their finances, because it's not cheap to raise a child. In fact, it's not cheap to have a child at all. Your finances are definitely at the core of that particular interaction and having a child. That decision itself to say, I am going to have a child, or maybe even if it wasn't a decision, but once the child is on the way, you have to look at your finances and think, how am I going to make sure that these finances are able to take financial care of the child? Of course, there are so many other factors to raise a child. In fact, much more important factors like emotional, psychological, safety, and all of those. But the finances are at the core. It's the Money Matters feature here on The Move. And we're speaking about what happens if you are co-parenting and one of you are financially unreliable. And by the way, we're not saying financially unstable, which could be a factor, but financially unreliable is really just not coming to the party. No parent should experience raising a child alone, and that really increases not just the financial strain, but also the emotional stresses of raising a child. We're finding out tips from our financial expert today on how to mitigate the financial burden as a single parent. Eunice Sibiya is an independent financial educator and joining us on the line. Eunice, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, team, and good morning to your listeners.
Look, it's not easy at all. And when we think about children, the first thing we think about is money, because children need money for everything. I'm telling you about from the very second that they land into the world, all the way until they start getting financially stable
Tell
themselves.
me about it. I'm still paying for that milk. Okay? That milk is a headache.
Yeah, and you think it ends, right? It actually doesn't. My son is almost 19 and there's still financial implications to raising
you're trying
him.
to traumatize
I am still
me.
raising him. So you're just starting out
You're
with the
just
milk,
traumatizing
Benji.
me
You
here.
still have around 19, 20, some people 25 years to go on that particular one. Eunice, it takes money to raise children, right?
Those children are a lifetime commitment, whether you like it or not. For as long as they are alive and you are alive, born, you are together. So now, when it comes to the financial part of things, what usually helps with the parents, regardless of the drama, single parents, widows, divorced, couples, you name them, every single person, we need to make it our business to be financially educated. This thing that we call financial literacy. Remember, in this instance particularly that we're talking about, we're focusing on single parents that are struggling with unreliable co-parenting, which is irregular and a whole lot of stories. So me, as the mother, I need to be stable, financially stable, in terms of discipline and the know-how. The emotions will always be there. However, if I have the know-how and a little bit of control and discipline, that takes away a whole deal of the pressure.
You know, Eunice, the best case scenario is that two mature parents come together, and whether they're together or not, say we both have an equal responsibility to this individual that we've brought into the world. We'll make sure that we split all the costs 50-50. And by all the costs, we don't just mean the school fees and the transport and the food, but there's so many micro costs also that go into raising a child. But unfortunately, this seems to be like a utopia that I'm speaking about. In many instances, parents don't have the emotional maturity to actually sit down and have these conversations and have an agreement on how to take care of the finances for the child.
So correct. So even with couples, happily married couples, often you find that there's an aspect of financial education, financial discipline that is lacking. Now, the burden becomes double, triple, or however much more with a single parent that is struggling with an unreliable co-parent. So even when things are good, love is good, life is hunky-dory, where is the financial discipline? Where we need to start with saving. We need to start even saving. Before saving, you look at your income, you look at your expenses, you tick the needs versus the wants. That kind of drill that we always talk about. We need to have that as individuals, regardless of our status and the condition of our lives right now. We need to have that, because that becomes your foundation. That becomes the pillars of financial management. So if you have that at least, it will then help when the other parts of the puzzle start falling off, and because at least the basics are there.
Yeah.
So managing your finances within your income, not outside of, within the income, takes a whole deal of pressure off, because you are not stretched. You're not operating outside of your income, because that will be the beginning of the tsunami, financial tsunami.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because it's an important thing to unpack. When you do have that unreliable partner or co-parent, how do you address that? Because people who are unreliable are usually nonchalant. They not necessarily attached to the unreliability. They kind of get away with it. In fact, they enjoy getting away with it. So how do you deal with that unreliable partner?
To start off with, the person who is unreliable has got issues with themselves. There's something bugging them. There's something they're running away from. There's something not right. Because you know very well that at some point you and I were in love. Then we concocted something, and there was this creature that was born from our own actions.
LOL creature.
So we are committed to making sure that this poor creature is looked after properly. So for the co-parents, at some point later on, to become unreliable and maybe nonchalant, like you said, which is true, there's something wrong with them. You cannot be that bitter that you want to ignore your responsibility, your blood. Maybe it's trying to spite me. Even if you are struggling with employment, you're struggling with income, show up. So that's commitment. So for the person that keeps indicating to be nonchalant, running away, avoiding calls, avoiding commitment, that is where the legal aspect of things come in, family courts and whatever, for them to try and talk to them. If they are cooperating, it's easier. If not, then let the legal processes of getting the money take place, so that the single parent that is living with the children doesn't carry unnecessary financial constraints.
There might be co-parents listening to this right now and saying, but let's be realistic, guys. We live under very hard financial climates. So, yeah, I don't have the money. I really don't have the money. I'll just give you what I can every month. But the truth is, the child doesn't live from what you can. The other parent is actually now struggling to overcompensate that financial burden. What do you say to that? Because people say, yeah, we actually don't have the money, but the child still has to live, the child still has to eat, the child still has to drink water, have electricity, go to school, etc., 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 etc. So is that a good enough excuse to say we are under hard financial climates?
No, because everybody is. Even the single parent that's living with the children is also under financial constraints. Right, we are all going through stuff. So what I normally assist and encourage to the people that I do financial coaching with is rather downscale. The minute you see that the other parent is now disappearing, and obviously when they disappear, they are likely to disappear with their pocket. Rather downscale so that your financial commitments are within your income. Should they not contribute, you're not left out in the code. When they do contribute, pay ahead, save, invest if you can, so that you have a financial backup.
All right, Eunice, we need to take a quick break. Stay with us on the line. We'll speak about some of the nitty-gritties and go into the details of how to actually deal with the financial burden of raising your child alone financially, but also what can be done. But also, I feel like we can't only just put, the co-parent in the dog box alone. Sometimes the parent who's not living with their child isn't getting enough information from the primary parent. What should the communication actually actually be like in order to host the finances of raising a child when co-parenting. It's 11:21 Central Africa time. We'll continue this conversation with Eunice after the break.
Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you'll be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Get set and be ready to go. On the move with Palisatawo and Benjamin Mushatama.
Eunice Sibiya is an independent financial educator joining us for our Money Matters feature. We're speaking about what happens when you find yourself having to co-parent with someone who is financially unreliable. I love how you wrapped up that first segment of our interview, Eunice, speaking about the fact that you need to take matters in your hands, especially as the responsible one, saving when you can, to actually cushion you for moments where that co-parent is not being reliable. But to hold someone responsible, I think, is also key as well. How do we hold others for those financial responsibilities that they have alongside us?
Responsibility we are aware of. If we choose to run away from it is a critical matter. So there are many levels. I need to try with my partner, beg, please, if I have to, which is not nice, because I should not be begging the baby daddy to come to the party. We know we had a party and we have offspring from that party, but you continue communicating. You can get the elderly people to be involved. You can escalate to social workers. And it also can go to the family court, it can go to the legal platform. But what is also important to I think, Balisa's question before we took the break, it is communication. Whether they respond or not, what I have learned is it's best that you keep communicating, not nagging, not what is the word I'm looking for? The other extent of nagging.
Begging.
It will come, don't worry. Like at 3 a.m. you send a message, at 12 noon you send a message, at 7 you send a message unnecessarily. So communicate what is key, communicate what is important. That also helps with the track record when meetings and serious conversations need to be had. So you can prove that I've been communicating. I told you about the school trip. I told you that the child is sick. I told you that we need uniform. I told you that we ran out of food. I do 1, 2, 3. Please help with 4, 5, 6, 7. So the communication is important. But another element that is critical in the communication is with these poor creatures that are caught in the middle of this fight. And the communication to the children should be civil and positive, not negative. Not to poison them, but converse with them in an upbuilding manner. If you don't have something, do not throw your toys and say it's because of whatever. No. At this point in time, I'm not able to afford this. Let me see next week or next month. The conversations are age appropriate, of course. Communicate with your children positively because you want them to be better people in the future. So we must also not get our emotions to run away with us, and we keep injecting our emotional pain and frustration onto the children.
Yeah. Eunice, as someone who's a financial educator and you were perhaps brought into this situation, let's say both of these parents are people that are emotionally mature and they're trying to figure out the finances of raising this child, and you come in as a mediator. What would be the first step in mediating, making sure that both of these parents are contributing as they should to raising their child?
First point for me is always the individual. Your background, your relationship with money, what money means to you, how money makes you feel. All of those things contribute towards how you as an individual relate with money and use your money. So we start by ironing out those to say, let's have a good relationship with money, the money that we have, and we use it wisely. Then you come into the element of budgeting. How much is the income individually and in the if they operate like that? Because remember, as couples, whether married or not, for two people to come to one table and having to be financially responsible for certain things together, and there are different methods that can be used. I can contribute to the amount that is needed from my side, and he contributes the amount that is needed from his side onto one account or into one account, and the expenses come from there. Or if we are both responsible, I will pay what I need to pay for and tick that this is done, and honestly so, not being deceiving or anything. So the budgeting element is very critical because both of them should have a line item or line items in their budget that are responsible for the children's needs. So this is how a civil co-parenting situation where there are fights and the relationship is not so good. We still need to be committed. So do your budget. The other partner also do their budget. Include the financial needs for the children, and please honor them. You might not want to be talking to me. That is fine. It's a battle for another day. However, the financial needs of the children should not suffer. So budgeting will then be the tool for the both of them. Line item for the necessary expenses.
Yeah.
Yes. Weekly, monthly, however, if they need to be paid, honor those.
Let's wrap it up. We've run out of time, Eunice. Let's wrap it up in terms of that plan that we have to make for these children. How important is it? You keep re-emphasizing that. How important is that plan?
You're talking about the financial plan?
Yes.
The financial plan is critical. As an individual, I need to have my own financial plan, my short, medium, and long-term goals. So is the partner, whether present or not. Then in those plans, our children's financial needs are there and they are key. So budgeting helps you then to put money aside for short, medium, and long-term goals. Day-to-day needs, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, until they finish school, until they are adults. You need to have those line items in your budget with their amounts, and you make sure that you honor them. So financial planning is important. Budgeting helps you with financial planning. Okay, so again, age appropriate, and we teach these children what money is, what money does, and how to manage money. Age appropriate again. You can give them 5 rand because they get pocket money, most of them. What do they do with their pocket money?
Yeah.
When we go to schools, we talk to them about what they do with their pocket money. Some of them get 50 rand a day. These children are busy.
Yeah.
And they start spending it and squandering the money. That is now not healthy. Teach them to save. Teach them to put away however much they can. Help them watch it grow. That is the best education in terms of financial management for children. And the same applies to the parents.
All right, Eunice, we've run out of time. Thank you so much. Where can people find you, Eunice?
I'm on 083-702-3230. On Facebook, Eunice Sibiya. On other platforms, Eunice the Coach.
Thank you so much, Eunice the Coach. I like that one. It's got a nice ring to it. Eunice the Coach. I love that one. Thank you, Eunice, for joining us and coaching us through this difficult conversation.
You're most welcome.
That's Eunice Sibiya, independent financial educator, taking us to 11:30 Central African time. Musibudi Makura is standing by to give us our latest sports.
Sports on